Good morning, everyone. Now we will continue our discussion about rational inequalities. Share my screen and kindly tell me if you can see it. Okay, can you see my screen now, class? Can you see it?
Loading.
Okay, just tell me.
Wala pa sir. Ara sir.
Ana?
Nana sir,
Nana, sir.
nana.
Okay. So in the previous meeting that we have, we already discussed the steps on how to solve rational inequality, right? Do you still remember the steps? Any one of you here can tell me the first step in solving rational inequality? Anyone can tell me the first step? Can I ask Manusa, Kent? Kent, what is the first step in solving rational inequality? Manusa?
Sir? First step, wala ko kabalo, sir.
Wala ka last time, Ken?
Oo, sir, pero na-late man ko ato.
Can I ask Antonia Tugahan? What do you remember in the first step, Antonia?
Sir, dapat ay sa right side, sir, kay dapat ma-zero siya din. Dapat sa left side kay one radical expression, bro.
One rational expression. So single fraction, right? Not radical, but rational. So the right side of your equation must be 0. The left side must be one fraction only, right? One rational expression. So that's it. That's the first step. So what we will be doing, let us answer number 3, 4, 5, and 6 only. So let's start with the number 3. So you're given with this one, x minus 1 all over x plus 3 greater than 0. As you can see, it's already in that form, right? Do you agree with me? That this is 0 and this is a single fraction? Tunood? Is that right, class?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what should be the next step? As you remember, the next step should be, so the next step is you will be factoring out the numerator and the denominator if those expressions are factorable. But in this case, the numerator and denominator cannot be factored anymore. So what you will be doing is you will just equate each of the numerator and denominator into 0. So it will be now this 1, right? Then the next thing is you will be solving for x. So it will follow that your x here is 1. While in the other side from the denominator, your x is negative 1. Okay? So the next thing that we will be doing is you will be plotting these numbers in the number line. And as you can see, you can have here the negative 1 and you can have here the positive 1. Okay. Then next thing that you will be doing is you are going to determine whether these numbers are included in your solution or not by testing it. Okay, let's start with the negative 1. When x is negative 1, is this inequality true? What do you think? If that is negative 1, so it will be negative 1 minus 1 all over negative 1 plus 1. Is it greater than 0? I think that's not true, right? Agree with me? Can you feel free to,
Yes, sir.
because ganong dili man tinuod. Because if you will simplify it, it will be negative 2 over 0, and that is undefined, right? So it means the value negative 1 cannot make your inequality true. So in this case, you use it hollow. Okay? It will be solid if your value can make your inequality true. Okay? Agree? Agree, class? What do you think, Alexa? Is it correct, Alexa? Montemayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next number that, yes.
Kanang, di ba sir, dapat -3 na?
Again. Hello.
Sir,
Di ba sir,
ang
negative
denominator kay x
Oh,
plus 3.
wait, it should be, I think I just write it the wrong one. So it should be x plus 3, right? At sa erase na ha? Wait, let me share again. Sa'yo kung sulat, no? Can you tell me ha? Kasi akong nasulat sa'yo. So the given that we have is wrong. So it should be, yes, that's correct, Antonio. It should be the x. Oops, we use the black one.
Good
It
morning,
should be,
sir.
yes, good morning. X minus 1 over x plus 3. No, plus 3 din diri. Should be greater than 1. Plus 1 ako nabutak. So what we will be doing is, you will be equating this into 0, as well as this one into 0. So it should be x is equal to 1. In the other side, it should be x equal to the -3, right? Yes, and after that, it will be now, you will be plotting it in your real number line. So it will be -3, it should be 1. Okay? Okay, the same thing if you will test -3, if you will test the -3, it can make your inequality undefined, right? Because it becomes -4 over 0. A -4 over 0 is undefined because your denominator is 0. So in this case, you just use here the hollow. It means that is not part of your solution. Okay? And aside from that, you will be testing also the 1. If you will use 1, it becomes 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 3. And as you can see here, it becomes 0, right? Because the numerator is 0. 0 over 5 is 0. And we all know that 0 is not, here is 0. 0 is not greater than 0. So it means this one is not true either. Okay? So you remain also, you will also make it hollow. By the way, the value here will be included. The value here will be included if you have greater than or equal. 0 is equal to 0. But in this case, this is strictly greater than, so this must not be included. Okay? Claro, class? Okay, klaro ba? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So both of these are hollow. So your intervals are, you have what interval here? Should be -infinity to -3. It's an open interval, right? Well, here is also the open interval from -3 to 1. Well, here is the open interval from 1 to the positive infinity. Clear? So these are the intervals that you will be testing later. Okay? So let us get one value from each interval and we will be testing it here. This is 0, no? This is 0. Okay. Let us test first the value here. What number can we get here? Any value that can be tested? Any suggestion?
-4.
-2, sir.
The -2 is somewhere here, right?
I mean -4.
Yes, you can use the -4. You can use the -5, the -20, -100, because those values are in this interval. So any value that you want to test, as long as it is part of that interval. Let's use -4. So if x is equal to the -4, then what will happen? So it will be now -4 minus 1, -4 plus 3, right? So
Yes,
if we
sir.
will test the numerator, it becomes -5. The denominator is -1, right? And if you simplify it, it becomes +5. And we know that +5 is greater than 0. I mean, this can make your inequality true, right? So it means you will be including this one in your solution set. Okay? So let us have the other interval. Let's make it here. What value can we use here? Any suggestion?
0.
Yes, 0 is here, -1 is here, -2 is also here, as well as those decimals can also be used. But let us just use whole number to make it easy. So let's erase this portion first. Let us test when x is equal to 0. And I think that's just very easy. So when x is equal to 0, what will happen? X is 0, then it will be 0 minus 1. Just follow this one over 0 plus 3. And if you look at here, it becomes -1 over 3. A negative number divided by a positive number is still a negative. And we all know that this is not greater than 0. So it means this portion should not be included in your solution set, because these values here cannot make your inequality. Okay, let us have the last interval that we have, the open interval from +1 to the -3. Okay, here. So what we will do here, so what we will be doing is we are going to get a number here. What do you think is the number that we can test? Any suggestion?
2,
Ladies,
sir.
again, 2. Yes, 2.
2.
You can use 2. So if you use 2, then we will have, if x is equal to 2, then what will happen? So it will be now, so again, you follow this inequality. You have here 2 minus 1, 2 plus 3. Is it greater than 0? What do you think? So let's test it. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 plus 3 is 5. Positive divided by positive is positive, and that is greater than 0. Let's check, right? So it means we can include this in our solution set. So you can conclude now, therefore, therefore, our solution set is the set containing these two intervals from -infinity to -3 union to the open interval from 1 to the positive infinity. So this will be your answer. Any questions?
None, sir.
Answer.
Okay. Are you ready for the next part? So we will
Yes, sir.
have now problem number 4. In problem number 4, you have this one, but the problem is it is not yet in the form where in the right side is 0. So you really need to transfer it to the other side. Remember, if you gonna transform one term to the other side, it does not affect the inequality that you have, right? Because whether you add or subtract, what number you are going to add or to subtract, it does not affect the inequality that you have. I already presented it previous meeting, right? So you are allowed to transpose. So now it will be 1 times 1 over x minus 1 over x minus 3, right? Right, clearly. So it is now still less than 0. It does not affect the inequality because you are just simply adding or subtracting number here, and it does not affect your inequality. So the next step is to rewrite this in a single fraction. And the only way to do that is to get your LCD. Ano sa pang LCD diri class? Anyone? Tell me what is the LCD?
X times x plus
Times
3.
X minus 3. Very good. So it's x times x minus 3. And after that, you will be dividing this LCD by your first denominator, which is x. So the answer is x minus 3. You multiply it in your numerator, so you only have x minus 3 also. Right? Next is minus, because you have here the subtraction. You divide your LCD by your second denominator. Okay? So your answer will be x times 1, so it will be x. Still, you use the inequality less than. Okay. If we continue doing this, the x will be cancelled out, right? So what is left is negative 3 all over x times x minus 3. Agree? So the next thing that we will be doing is, since you don't have variable in the numerator, you only equate the factor from your denominator. So what you will have is x is equal to 0 and x minus 3 equal to 0. So no problem with this. So we will proceed here. So your x is equal to positive 3. So there are two values that you will be plotting in your real number line. It's the 0 and the 3. If you will plot it here, it will look like this one. So if you will locate it, here is the 0 and here is the positive 3. Okay? The next thing that you will be doing is you determine whether these numbers are included in your solution or not. So let us test the 0. If you will let x be 0, obviously this becomes 0, right? Your denominator is 0, so it should not be included. While if x is 3, 3 minus 3 is 0, 0 times any number, still 0, so your denominator is 0. Still, it will not be included in your solution. So, the interval that you have now are negative infinity to 0, open interval. Also here, open interval from 0 to 3. And the last interval will be the 3 to the positive infinity. Okay. Then the next thing that we will do is we will be testing. We will be testing each of these intervals. Let us get one value here. What value that we can get in the first interval for us to test? Any suggestion?
Sir.
Yes, the negative 1 is here. So if you will be testing negative 1, if x is equal to the negative 1, then so what will happen? It will be, you just use this one. So you have negative 3 over, since you use x as a negative 1, so it becomes negative 1 from here. And it becomes negative 1 minus 3. Is it less than 0? So let's test it. It becomes negative 3. In the denominator, it becomes negative 1. It becomes negative 4, right? You simplify
Yes, sir.
it further, it becomes negative 3 all over positive 4, because negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. And this is a negative number, and a negative number is less than 0. So be careful on what inequality that is given in your problem. This is less than now, unlike a while ago, we used the greater than. This time it's less than, and we know a negative number is less than 0, so it should be included in your solution set, because the values here can make your inequality true. Any questions before we proceed? Am I making sense here now, class?
None, sir.
Okay, no questions. So let's proceed with the next interval. The next interval that we have is the open interval from 0 to 3. So what number probably we can use here? Any suggestion?
2, sir.
Yes, the 2 is here. It can also be 1 or any decimal that you can choose. So let us just choose 2. Let us choose 2. Okay, if we use x is equal to 2, again, we just go back here. It becomes negative 3 over 2 times 2 minus 3. Is it less than 0? Let's test it. It becomes negative 3 all over 2 minus 1, because 2 minus 3 is just negative 1. And it becomes negative 3 over the negative 1. And we all know a negative number divided by a negative number will be positive. And that positive number is not less than 0. So it means it is not true. So it means this interval should not be included in your solution set. We only have one interval left. Let us test here what number that we can choose here. Suggest
4.
4. Yes, you can also use 5, 20, 100, 150, or any number which is included here. So let's just choose 2 because it's easy to manipulate it, because it's a little bit ang value niya gamay, so it's easy for us to perform it. So let us use 4. So the value x is equal to 4. Okay, if we choose x is equal to 4, the same thing, you will use this inequality. So you have negative 3 all over negative 3. No, it's 4 rather. So this is just 4 and 4 minus 3. Now, is it less than 0? So it will be negative 3 all over 4 times 1. And this is just negative 3 over 4. And obviously, this is a negative number. And a negative number is obviously less than 0. So it means this interval should be included in your solution set. Okay? Okay, class? So, to conclude our solution set, solution set is the set, this is included, so it should be negative infinity to 0, union to the open interval from 3 to positive infinity. Any questions for problem number 4? Question? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So we also have number 5, but class, I want you to solve number 5 in your free time. You will be posting your answer in number 5 dito sa inyong Google Classroom. The deadline will be until 12 midnight. Okay? So this will be your work for today. I want you to answer number 5. You take a picture of your solution and you post it in your Google Classroom. I will be creating classwork there and you post your answer there. Okay? So let us have the number 6. I will leave number 5 too. Let's have number 6 now. So in the number 6, as you can see, if A and B are real numbers such that A is less than B, find the solution set of this one. So it's a little bit tricky, right? So x minus A is all over x minus x is less than or equal to 0. So what we can do here, as your assumption here stated that your A must be less than B. So from here, let me erase this portion. From here, you can replace this portion. Since your A is less than your B, it can be written as this is just less than. If you replace it by B, so x minus B over B minus x. I am allowed to do it because I know that this A is less than this B. Everything are the same except this portion. So kung ilisdan ni siya o mas dako sa iyaha o kini siya mas dako kung ani before expression. Okay? And after that, if you look at here, we can factor out negative 1 here. If you factor out the negative 1, this becomes negative x, this becomes positive b. So it can be written as b minus x. Actually, if you distribute it back, it will be the same with this. And you copy the denominator here, okay, b minus x. So as you can see, this one, from the original, this one is less than or equal to 0. So, and we manipulate something here, and as we manipulate here, we found out that this is just equal to this. Therefore, this one can be less than or equal to 0. By the way, what we will be doing is we will be equating each factor into 0. Okay, equating each factor into 0. So, and what we have is b minus x is less than 0, equal to 0, equal to 0. And if we're gonna solve for x, it will be x is equal to the negative b, negative x is equal to negative b, divide by negative, so your x is b. So the next thing that you will be doing is you are going to plot that number in your real number line. By the way, this b can be any real number. It can be 5, it can be 3, it can be negative 2. In general, we just use b. So this is b. So that will be the number that you will be testing first. So when x is equal to b, obviously this becomes 0 here and it will be undefined. So it should not be included. So by that, we can be sure that your interval here will be to the positive infinity, while here will be from negative infinity to both open interval. So the next thing that we will have is to test these intervals. So we will get a value here that is included in that interval. As we all know, if this is b, somewhere here is b minus 1. Agree? No? So if that is b minus 1, you can test it here. If you test the b minus 1 here, it becomes b minus 1 minus x, b minus 1 minus x, and they are the same, and it becomes negative 1. And negative 1 is less than or equal to 0, so this must be included in your solution set. As well as here, we all know that b plus 1 is also here, and if we plot it here, b plus 1, it becomes b plus 1 minus x, b plus 1 minus x. Still, it becomes negative 1 and -1 is less than 0, so it is also included. So, for a conclusion, there is only one value that will not be included in your solution. It's only the B. So in that case, your solution set will be all real numbers except the value B. Okay? So that's it for the number 6. Any questions? Clarifications? I just presented the number 6 because I know that it is not suitable in your level at this very moment. I just presented it because you might be encountering this kind of problem in college. Okay? And actually, it's part of your sa inyong libro. It's included in your. Any questions?
None, sir.
Okay, again, I will repeat. Your task is to answer number 5. Okay, just wait for your. Can you look for your Google Classroom later? I will be posting your classwork. You just post your answer for the number 5 there. Okay, any questions before we go?
None, sir.
Nice.
Sir.
So let me stop sharing. So if you have no question and I